Here with two members of Kingfisher. If you guys could go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us what you've been working on, we'll get started.
Sure thing. My name's Connor. I'm the alto saxophone, and also work on some of the arrangements for Kingfisher. And recently, we've just been working on recording and writing a bunch of songs for our next album, which we're hoping to release. Who knows when?
Yeah.
We'll keep that you know, in the air for now.
And I'm Sam. I write the lyrics and play guitar and do a little singing. And like Connor said, we're just deep in the trenches of recording.
Oh yeah.
Actually, does a pretty good transition for me to what I wanted to ask first. As far as are you the only lyricist or just main lyricist? Do you have like, with seven people in a band, because you guys are a large group as represented by you two here today, but are you the only lyricist for you guys or is it a shared job?
I'm basically the only one. Yeah. Like some ideas will be thrown out every once in a while, but it's usually just me.
Yeah, I would say songwriting is pretty like group done, but for the lyrics, we leave that to this guy for the most part because I think he's got quite the knack for it.
Thanks, Connor. Yeah.
Songwriting stuff, is it like, you guys mainly play your own instruments and sometimes there'll be like moments of epiphany where it's like, boom, I have this idea. What do you think about that too? Because I know that, band dynamics playing into not wanting to play the other people's instruments, but you have these big ideas. How much of a crossplay do you guys have in each other's playing?
I would say quite a bit. I think any person is open to hearing any suggestions from any other member of the band. Like sometimes it gets, with like seven people there and everyone's like, oh, I think this person should do this. We got to be careful not to step on each other's toes. But I think it's very collaborative and everyone's kind of helping figure out everyone else's part. But yeah, as soon as someone has an idea, it's just like open floor, like say the idea, we'll try everything out, see what works, see what we land on.
And usually, like, I mean, everyone in the band can play, well, not every other instrument. Like, I can't play the saxophone or whatever, but there's a lot of like, Callum, the trumpet player, plays guitar a lot. So there's a lot of like, oh, can I see the guitar for a second? Here's the idea or whatever. But yeah, I mean, with seven people, it's like there's no shortage of like, I guess, ideas or whatever you want to call them or anything like that.
Yeah, if anything, there's too many ideas,
Yeah, for sure.
and the challenge is narrowing them down.
Mhm.
It's never like, what do we do for this part? It's
Yeah.
always like, what are we going to choose to do?
Mhm. Yeah.
When it comes to starting songs, having inspiration for songs, is that coming from all over? I mean, the first album, it definitely has like a very cohesive feel to it, but there's definitely a lot of emotions, a lot of stories coming. Is that coming from everyone there? A song is started by a different person each time, or is it mainly coming from lyrics from you, or what do you?
I would say usually, and I would say honestly, like 90% of the situation, whenever there's like a new song, like I'll write the song. With the last, if we use the last album as an example, uh, other than like a lot of like the electronic-y kind of songs, that was like we had to build up as a group. But usually like the way we write is, I mean, hopefully you, I guess, agree, but the way we write is I'll bring a song and then we'll flesh it out. And like come up with parts, come up with like organization of like the structure and everything. But like songs like Do You Think I'm Pretty or whatever, like it's such a like a song that is usually just like here are the chords, here are the lyrics, and then let's figure out how we can arrange it to fit everybody.
Yeah, like on the last album, like we were talking about before, for most of the songs or for all the songs, Sam comes up with the lyrics. So any sort of like message that is behind those lyrics, Sam's come up with that. But then as a group, we're kind of trying to like channel those emotions like together and to create, like I think all the arrangements are done as a group completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did a lot of I worked on the horn arrangements with Callum and Sam, the other members of the horn section, for like a lot of the first album. And so we kind of piece it together arrangement wise, but in terms of like the message and any sort of story that's happening, I think that's probably a lot of that is because of Sam DeBose's lyrics for sure.
And I actually got a question from another fan of yours who was the one who got me into your music. Friend of mine named Jaden wanted to know how did you guys start making music? You know, such a big group, you've got people coming into play there. How did that get started?
Well, we all went to school together. And like, I mean, I kind of always Connor and I were we were I was we were the first people to meet each other. Like Connor was the first person I met at college,
Yeah.
and then like Calum, the trumpet player, like also was at our orientation and all that. And then I think during after COVID, I think me and Sam Uribe, who does all like a lot of the production and the tenor player, um, kind of were like it would be great to start a group. And basically we all already knew each other, like we are all friends. And Casey, the drummer, she was the most, I believe, the most recent addition, or Kaysen.
Kaysen, yeah.
Kaysen was the most, whatever. We just already knew each other from just like going to school together. And we all went to music school. And so we just like, like, I mean, I've lived with Connor since 2019.
19.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2019. Um, and so like it just kind of felt like the almost like the natural thing to do. We're like, oh, I would love to start a group. Who are the people that are going to be in it? And it was just kind of like these obvious picks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like with creating the band, I mean, it was obviously like we've all been studying music like by ourselves for a long time, but we wanted to like put a group with the best musicians that we could think of at that time who also like fit the vibe, you know? So people who we got along with well. So it was just like a natural process of like who are good musicians who we like to hang out with. You know, I think that's important for a band. Is like you guys have fun together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the most important things. It was just like creating a band with friends and then
going from there.
going from there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So is that a time round still where you think you could, you know, find someone who needs to, you know, this person clicks well, bring them on at least for a tour or even for recording? Do you think that there's still a chance you add or change lineup at all, or is it pretty set now, you think?
You're always talking about
Well, I think I would love. I put the guitar, and I'm like I'm such a okay guitar player that it would be great. I think for a tour, it would be pretty great. Like we split the guitar around like a bit, like for different songs. So once again, Cal will play guitar in a few, or Case and Will, or whoever. I think for a tour, it would be potentially so sick to have another like a lead guitar player that isn't me. But like the band, we're like set, and like I think any additional people would be like what we would need to record, or if we somehow like if we were somehow to play like a really big gig and we needed like this song, like when we recorded it, we had a trombone player or whatever, we would probably bring them on stage or whatever. But the core group is definitely like we've figured out the core.
yeah. I wouldn't say we're like looking
We're not looking
to because the band's already so goddamn big. I mean,
yeah, it's so big.
It's big.
People.
It's already
Yeah.
so difficult to get everyone together to rehearse, you know, because
Mhm.
that's 7 schedules. You got to find a common time.
Mhm.
But at the same time, if something came up and it just made so much sense, I don't think we would say no.
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. Yeah,
But we're not
we're not looking for more people. Yeah, it's definitely we already kind of
we hit the quota.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
As far as how many people, you're going to have such diverse influences that really plays in where you're really taking influence from every member and like they're bringing their own style in, or have you found your own style, you know, as you work together as a unit, or is it more like individual pieces coming together where you're, you know, taking a little bit of each person, or have you really found your own full sound, you think?
I mean, yeah, I can start with that. I have like a almost entirely jazz background. Like that's how I learned. Like saxophone, jazz saxophone. That's what I grew up on. Um, so for a lot of like the Kingfisher horn parts when we were first starting, and still like a lot of them are improvised, you know. And on this new album, there's that we're working on now. That there's I would say there's even more improvisation in like the recorded bits. But it's just a question of like that's my sound, and that's how I think of music. But how do I fit that into like the band sound, you know? And so, and that I think we've just gotten better with over time, like figuring out what is our sound, and everyone kind of at this point knows exactly what their role is and how their sound fits with the group. but I think everyone comes from like a slightly different background, you know. Like Callum, our trumpet player, he started with classical music, and so like when we were first working on the songs, like you could hear some of the classical influences in the things he was coming up with, whereas like heavy jazz influence from the stuff I'm coming up with, and Sam DeBose, I would say, if anything, like a indie rock
Yeah, for
influence.
sure, definitely. I mean, I think in terms of like our own sound, I would say that we're working on another album. And I would say that feels more like akin to what we like what feels like I don't know, like what we just sound like now, I guess. Like the previous album, like there was a lot of like in terms of like influences, like Bon Iver was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean Black Country New Road was, you know, we listened to it like towards the end of recording the album.
Yeah, we discovered the band
Like
once we were like a
almost
week
done with
done from
a week done
recording.
from recording, and we were like,
So
oh, that's so sick.
the
We should,
the,
yeah.
the influence is totally there, but that was like towards the
Yeah, and all of
later
that, yeah, and
half.
all of that like that definitely feeds into everything. But I think with this next album, like there's stuff that we did on the first album, like in terms of like the sound of it, that doesn't really it's not featured at all in this next one. And I think not that we're like more excited about it, but like it's a lot more like like the previous album, we couldn't play a lot of those songs live easily. Like I would say most of them we could, but like some of them we just couldn't, like at least where we were now, where we are now. And with this next album, it's much more like the entire band can play this like every song on the album,
Just like down.
you know, like all the parts and you know all that, which has been very, I think, really nice because you know we do have like basically every I think everyone in the band is maybe everyone in the band is like comes from a jazz background or originally, and I think like we have like we you know great musicians in the band and like featuring them more prominently in terms of like oh, Calm is so good at the trumpet or whatever, like Calm's great at the trumpet. That I think comes through more, which has been like really nice in terms of like finding our own actual like what it feels like when we write music. I feel like it's just featured way better in what we're working.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
That was a long-winded answer.
Good answer though. I like the answer. It almost sounds like you're saying it's going from writing songs and then bringing them to the band and the band writing songs. You know, having these songs that are made for the band and then songs that are made and brought to the band. You know, the full fleshed out unit
Yeah,
making
basically.
songs together and really
Yeah,
getting
it's
to
like what
flesh
you're
them out
saying. Like I
together.
think like exactly, and we all like because we've just been playing together longer. We all really know our roles. So at this point, like for like last month, maybe like even not that long ago, a few weeks ago, we wrote like a song from scratch all together that we're going to be featuring on our new album, and it was just like the quickest it's been,
Yeah,
and it
it took
felt
20 minutes to write.
took like 20 minutes to just come up with this song, and it fits, you know, and it sounds great, and it's like that's just because we all like more and more are understanding like exactly what our part of this band is and like what it means to play our part.
And and like still a big part of it is like I'll like bring a song or whatever, but the way we approach it now is like way more, I don't know, like I don't know the right way to say it. Like there's more like you like Connor said, like there's way more intention behind it because we know exactly like we can kind of know exactly what needs to happen. Where before with the first album there was so much like, oh, maybe we can do this or whatever. And there's still a lot of that, but it's more like acoustic instrument based, like instead of like, oh, maybe it would be cool to add this, you know, 48 more tracks of
Yeah, overdubbed,
overdubs,
random.
synth
Yeah,
noise or whatever. And so it's we're, I mean, I'm just seconding Connor basically.
yeah,
Wait to see what you guys have come up with, and I appreciate you talking to me. It's been a really good interview. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, of course.
Thanks for reaching out.
much for having on coming on here, and I'll make sure to everybody go listen to their first album. It's very good. And
You
keep your eyes and ears peeled for their second. Thank you guys so much.
definitely
Right on.
cool. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. Have
thanks,
a nice
man.
day.